Hello everybody, welcome to the chemistry class, and today I will discuss the last part of your thermodynamics chapter. Okay, first we will discuss the prediction of the spontaneity of a process or reaction on the basis of Gibbs-Helmholtz equation. Already we have discussed the free energy of Gibbs-Helmholtz free energy. Okay, and all of you know the Gibbs-Helmholtz equation, that is the delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S. Already we have discussed. Okay, now here we will discuss the spontaneity of a process on the basis of this delta G value. Okay, now first case, when delta H negative but this one is positive. Okay, so that is the delta H is what? Enthalpy or energy factor. So energy factor as well as the entropy, that means randomness factors, favor the process. Okay, here delta G will be highly negative. If delta H is negative and this one is also negative, definitely delta G will be highly negative and the process will be spontaneous process. Hope you can understand. Example we can give that the combustion of petrol at all temperatures are spontaneous and here delta G will be highly negative. Next case, okay, so first case we have discussed delta H negative and T delta S positive. That means here delta G negative. This is the first case. Second case we will discuss that both delta H and T delta S are negative. Okay, so delta H negative and T delta S also negative. Okay, so in this case what will happen? So here energy factor favors the process but the entropy factor opposes the process. Okay, and the randomness here negative means randomness decreases. Okay, so there may be three cases in this case. If delta H value is greater than T delta S value, okay, then what will happen? Delta G will be negative. So first case, delta H value is greater than T delta S. So as T delta is negative, so negative means positive, and delta H is greater than TDS, that means delta is negative, so negative value will be higher. So definitely here the delta G value will be negative. So as the delta G is negative, so the process is spontaneous. Now I can give you one example so that you can easily understand. The nitrogen gas is combining with hydrogen gas, forming ammonia gas. So here 4 molecules forming 2 molecules. So entropy is decreasing. Okay, so that means that T delta S is negative here, but delta H is greater compared to T delta S. So it is a overall delta G is negative and it is a spontaneous process. Next case, if delta H less than T delta S, delta H less than T delta S, then what will happen? Okay, so delta H is less than T delta S, so definitely delta H is less than T delta S, so this one is the negative, as T delta S is the negative, so negative positive, so overall delta G will be positive. So if delta G is positive, that means process is non-spontaneous. And another case may arise, that is delta H is equal to T delta S. So in this case what will happen? if these two are equal, okay, and definitely the delta G will become 0. So if delta G is 0, so that means the process is in the equilibrium state. So this one is delta G 0 and process is in the equilibrium state. Next case we will discuss C. So first case we have discussed that delta G is negative but T delta is positive. Second case we have discussed that delta S, T delta S both are negative. Now third case, both delta H and T delta S positive. Delta H positive and T delta S is positive. So this is the third case. So here energy factor opposes the process, but the entropy factors, that means randomness factors, favors the process as it is positive. Now here also three cases will arise. First one, if delta H greater than T delta S. Okay, if delta H is greater than T delta S value, then what will happen? Delta G will be positive and the process is non-spontaneous process. And second case, if the delta H is less than T delta S, so here delta G positive, and in second case if delta H is less than T delta S, definitely delta G will be negative. You look at this equation, okay, the main equation, then you can easily understand. So delta G will be negative, that means the process will be spontaneous process, and we can give the example that the evaporation of water. Now if another case that delta H is equal to T delta S, if delta H is equal to T delta S, definitely delta G will be equal to 0. So this is the equilibrium condition, okay. Next we will discuss the another case, that is the fourth possibility, where delta H is positive and T delta S is negative. Here delta H positive and T delta S negative. So in this case, the energy factors as well as the randomness factor both are opposing the process. Okay, so delta G will be highly positive and the process will be non-spontaneous process. So if a delta G is less than 0, that is summary we are telling, if the delta G is less than 0, then the process is spontaneous. If delta G is greater than 0, the process is non-spontaneous. And if delta G is equal to 0, then the process is at equilibrium state. Okay. Now we will discuss the effect of temperature on the feasibility of a process. So we know that generally there are two types of reaction. One is exothermic and another is endothermic. So effect of temperature is different for endothermic and exothermic reactions. Okay. Now what is endothermic reaction? Endothermic reaction means a reaction where temperature is absorbing, okay, from the medium, and exothermic means, that means in reaction medium the temperature is generating. Okay, when heat is generated from a reaction, that is exothermic, and when it is absorbed, okay, from the surrounding, that is endothermic. Now in case of endothermic reactions, okay, that for endothermic reaction delta H means enthalpy change, that is the positive, and in case of exothermic reaction delta H will be negative. Okay, and always opposes the reaction. That T delta S value will decide whether delta G will be negative or not. Okay, so our reaction, that is the delta G is equal to delta H minus T delta S. This is our main reaction. Okay. Now, if T delta is negative and opposes the process, then the value of delta G will be positive and the reaction is not feasible. But if T delta S is positive, then delta G will be negative only if T delta S value is greater than delta H value. Okay. Now, T delta S value increases with the rise in temperature. Since the value of delta H does not vary appreciably with temperature, the value of T delta S will be greater than delta H at higher temperature and delta H will be negative. Hope you can understand. So endothermic reactions are favored by increasing temperature. Next we will discuss the exothermic reaction. For exothermic reaction, delta H is negative and always favor the reaction. Okay. So when delta H is negative, so if this is negative, so all over delta G will be negative and it will favor the reaction. If T delta S is positive, then the value of delta G will be negative and the process will be favored at all temperature. But if T delta S value is negative, then the value of the delta G will be negative. Okay. If the T delta S value is much less than delta H value. Okay. Suppose if it is negative. Okay. So negative means positive. If delta H value is more negative, then it will be the favorable process. Okay. That means the reaction will be the spontaneous. Okay. Hope you can understand. So exothermic reactions are favored by the decreasing temperature. So if T delta S value is smaller, then delta G becomes more negative and the reaction becomes spontaneous under these conditions. So thus endothermic reactions are more feasible at higher temperature according to La Chatelier's principle, and here from this entropy and enthalpy factor and delta G factor we can easily understand. And in case of exothermic reactions, they are generally favored or more feasible at low temperature. Now we will discuss the standard free energy. The standard free energy of formation of a substance is defined as the free energy change when 1 mole substance is formed from its element, okay, in the standard state. And we know that standard state generally temperature is taken as 25 degrees centigrade or 298 Kelvin, and according to the IPSC recommendation, the standard pressure should be taken or always taken as 1 bar. Okay, previously we generally take, okay, or generally took that the 1 atmosphere. Now it is 1 bar. So standard means generally 25 degrees centigrade and 1 bar pressure. So here, if you want to calculate, okay, the standard free energy change, that is delta G theta, that will be equal to the sum total of the standard free energy of formation of product minus that the sum total of the standard free energy of the formation of reactant. Okay, so that is basically the difference between the standard free energy change of product and reactant. Okay, now the standard free energy change is related to the equilibrium constant K by the following relation, that we know that delta G theta is equal to minus RT ln K. K is the equilibrium constant. But here if you want to write log, then you have to write delta G theta is equal to minus 2.303 RT log K. So these equations are very important for your numerical purpose. Generally numericals will come, okay, from these equations. So you have to remember this equation. Another important relation is there, that in case of electrochemical cell, their delta G 0 or delta G theta is equal to minus NFE E theta. Okay. Now here so already we have discussed this is the standard free energy change delta G theta, and N is the number of moles of electrons that are involved in the redox reactions of the cell, and M is the Faraday constant and equal to 96,500 coulomb, and E theta is the standard EMF of the cell. Okay. Then the last portion of this chapter, that is the third law of thermodynamics. Only statement is there in your syllabus. Third law. Thermodynamics. Okay. Now, this is actually applied in case of entropy. Okay. Crystalline solids have only vibrational motions. Okay. Generally, there are three types of motion: translational motion, rotational motion, and vibrational motion. So, crystalline solids have only vibrational motions. Okay, this is vibrating. Okay. But in case of liquid or gas, they have rotational, translational as well as vibrational motions. But if we increase the temperature, what will happen? These motions will be greater and the entropy will increase. Okay. And if we decrease the temperature, okay, definitely the entropy will decrease. Understand? So the third law of the thermodynamics tells that the entropy of a perfectly crystalline substance at absolute zero is taken as zero. Hope you can understand. Again I am telling that the entropy of a perfectly crystalline substance at absolute zero, okay, absolute zero temperature is taken as zero. And this law, okay, was given by Nernst, and the definition is only valid for the perfectly crystalline solids. Okay. Now Lewis and Randall also given the modified form that every substance has a finite value of positive entropy but at the absolute zero of temperature. The entropy may become zero, and it does become zero in case of perfectly crystalline solids. This third law of thermodynamics is applied to calculate the absolute entropy of pure solids, liquids and gases at different temperature. It is generally represented as delta S. Already we know that delta S is equal to dq reversible by T, but delta S is equal to S minus S0, and here we will calculate by 0 to T integration Cp by T into dt. This is the mathematical form by which we can calculate the entropy at different temperatures. Now what are the S0 and S? Okay, S0 and S are the entropies of the substances at 0 Kelvin temperature and T Kelvin temperature. Okay, and Cp represents the heat capacity. So hope you can understand. So in this way we have completed the thermodynamics chapter, and if we get time, till now we have one chapter remain, that is the chemical equilibrium. Okay, and if we get time we will practice numericals during our revising time. Okay, so today up to this, thank you.